Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I was just reading the latest tale from the Trusian archive. Would you like to hear it? Great. And so our tale begins. The morning sun shone brightly in the sky above the games field. Crows sat perched atop the stands of the jousting arena, cawing and eyeing the food which lay strewn about the games field's dirt paths. All the town of Havenspire had emptied into the stands of the various competitions, and knights from all around Arthoria competed for the title of champion. Their house banners swayed brilliantly around the competitors' board in the center of the field. A tournament of this magnitude could only be caused by the most important of announcements from Baron Gwendolyn. It was the speculation of many that the Baron, who was without an heir and who was now reaching a more elderly age, had finally sired a son. Soon trumpets cleared valiantly, the indication that the melee, the culminating event of the tournament, was about to begin. The winner of the melee would be crowned as Grand Champion of the Havenspire tournament. The winner's purse was a mystery, but it was rumored to be extraordinarily magnificent. A short while later, all the spectators crammed into the large viewing stands around the melee arena. When the crowd had settled, the Baron took to his feet, standing in the viewing podium built above the center of one of the spectator stands. He raised his hand into the air. "Welcome, one and all, to our final event of our humble tournament." At the end of his statement, 24 armor-clad knights took the center of the field. The tallest and most favored to win was Sir Torvald of Belfair, often referred to as the Ram of Belfair. "You have all performed admirably. Alas, there can be but one champion," continued the Baron. His speech was interrupted by the crack of thunder emanating from the east. From the east also approached a figure like a man, clad in armor that bore the likeness of a dragon. A long sword at his hip and a wood shaft clutched in his hand. It bore neither standard nor sigil of any kind. The crowd looked on in shock as the knight stabbed his standardless sigil into the ground, amongst the other competitors, and entered the melee arena standing opposite the other knights. "Who are you? And for what house and land do you compete?" asked the Baron to the newcomer. "I have no name, other than warrior. I bear no allegiance to any house or family, only to myself," replied the mysterious knight. "You have no place on the games field. Only knights may compete in the melee," replied the now more irritated Baron. "I invoke the challenger's right, then." The knight's words echoed through the stands. The crowd gasped in unison at the announcement. The knight just stared up with black eye holes of his helmet at the Baron. "I will not allow this to stand. Clear the games field now, or I will order the guard to remove you," screamed the Baron. "My lord, he must be allowed to compete. It is the law," spoke the voice of one of the Baron's counselors. The Baron looked back to the bold counselor with fire in his eyes. "What did you say?" he said furiously. "It is the law, sire. Any subject of the realm may compete in the tournament under the right of the challenger. However, they forfeit all rights and rules of mercy, as well as their lives should they lose," said the counselor. At this, the Baron smiled with cruel intent and turned back to the competitors. "Very well, challenger. You will be allowed to compete, but none of these knights will show you mercy, and if you lose, I will take your head," said the Baron. The mysterious knight drew his sword and faced the other knights. "Begin!" announced the Baron. The other competitors drew their weapons and began to circle the games field, each waiting on one to make the first move. To the shock of the other knights, the mysterious knight made his way to the center of the field, raising his sword and pointing it at Sir Torvald. "You dare challenge me directly?" shouted Torvald as he gripped firmly on his great club. "Do not interfere. I will teach this lesson." Torvald continued addressing the other knights. The mystery knight brought his sword to his torso, holding it upright with both hands on the hilt. He stretched his feet shoulder-width apart and prepared for Torvald's assault. Overcome by anger, Torvald let out a fierce battle cry and charged towards the mysterious knight. With blinding speed, the Ram of Belfair closed the distance between himself and the mystery knight. All the while, the mystery knight let out a malevolent laugh. His laugh grew louder as Torvald grew closer. When finally the two knights met, Torvald brought his club up and with the force of 3 men crashing back down toward the mystery knight. The mystery knight moved his sword into position overhead. His counter brought the titanic swing of Torvald to an abrupt halt. The unnamed knight simply continued laughing. 3 more times Torvald attempted to strike the knight, and 3 more times the knight blocked his attempts, not even being pushed back an inch. There Torvald stood, panting before his challenger, the first notions of fear visible on his face. "What are you?" he said nervously. "I am the warrior," said the knight. With speed never or ever after seen in Havenspire, the knight attacked Torvald. His first slice cleaved the club of Torvald in 2. The crowd was booming thunderously. The knight followed through with a hilt strike so powerful the helmet of Torvald was smashed from his head. With a single shoulder charge, the battered Torvald was knocked to his knees. Now moving slowly, the knight made his way around the backside of his crippled enemy. Grabbing the hair of Torvald's head, the knight held his enemy's head up, so that he could see all the people in the crowd stands. Bringing his helmet down to Torvald's ear, he spoke. Do you see them? Do you see how they live? You should be protecting them, serving them. Yet you grow fat and rich in service of their oppressor. You are no more a knight than your lord's stable boy. He held Torvald's head up, placing the cold edge of his sword to the back of his neck. No, I command you to stop, shouted the Baron. His command went unheeded, and Torvald's shame was brought to an end with a motion of the knight's sword. Gasp erupted from the crowd at the sight playing out before them. Turning to the other competitors, the knight threw the head of Torvald toward them. Next opponent, he said. His competition dropped their weapons. Torvald was the best of them. They knew now that they stood little chance against the mystery knight. What are you doing? Kill him, you cowards! Screamed the Baron. If you think you can, the knight said in challenge. None of the other knights moved, frozen in place by fear. Turning his back to the other knights, the knight of no banners paced slowly out of the games field. The town guard offered no resistance to his path. He was the winner by all rules of the competition. He did not, however, claim the winner's purse. Not that the Baron would have granted it. We thank you for sitting into this tale of Trusia, and we look forward to seeing you next time, and our next tale. Farewell.